Years ago, my Uncle Sam came up to visit from Tennessee. I had just quit my day job to make board games full time, and a lot of people thought that was risky and stupid. But my Uncle Sam had started his own business. In 1973, he built the Duck River Raceway Park, a quarter-mile dirt track for stock car racing. He sold it in the 80s, but continued working there until shortly before he died. He loved watching those cars go round. Every September, they run a Sam Pugh Memorial Race. I think he would have liked that. So I figured if anyone would understand chasing a dream, putting everything to something you love, it'd be Sam. So I told him, and he looked at me, and he said, "That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. No one wants board games. You should make game shows. That's where the real money is, TV money." I don't think I've ever heard of someone saying, "Give up on your pie in the sky dream, do something practical, and go to Hollywood." I don't think he was right about the money. Maybe the creator of the average game show gets more for it than the creator of the average board game. But, in the last 10 years, I've done 80 board games, and I would not have gotten the green light on 80 game shows, so I think I came out ahead here. Also, I don't really like game shows, and I know this because I've seen an awful lot of them. I have watched hundreds of hours of game shows. My grandmother loved them. Game Show Network was always on in her house, sometimes on multiple TVs at the same time, even if no one was in the room. So I spent time with my grandma. I watched a lot of game shows, and I just did not enjoy them at all or find them particularly interesting or compelling as games. After she died, I figured I would never watch another game show again. But now, there's a game show that I watch every week. When there's a new episode, I get excited. And I've had to stop and think about why that is. What makes this show different? What makes this show interesting? And what can I learn from it as a game designer? Before we get to the part where I gush about my favorite show, let's talk about why I don't like most game shows in the first place. Most of them are quiz shows about having the right answer to the question. And that's a test of memory and knowledge, not skill or intelligence. If compelling games are about solving problems and puzzles, recognizing patterns within a system, none of that factors into Popeye the Sailor Man debuted in 1929 in Thimble Theater. How did he acquire his amazing strength? The answer is by rubbing a chicken. Spinach didn't come until later, and me knowing that doesn't make me smarter than you, it just means I know a thing. Compare this to something like Chopped. That's a cooking competition show in which the contestants are given baskets of ingredients, like here's 2 carrots, some roasted red peppers, blue box mac and cheese, blue cheese dressing, now make a dessert. You have 10 minutes. So they're trying to combine these crazy ingredients with what they can find in the pantry. They're thinking on their feet. They have to be creative. There's actual skill being tested. If their dish isn't good enough, they get chopped. They're off the show. They have to leave the studio, go to Paris, to the Place de la Revolution. They get decapitated in front of a crowd. The French take their food very seriously. And the person that's left, they get $10,000 and, are still alive. That said, there are some trivia shows that I do like. These tend to be British panelist shows where you have these comedians and celebrities answering questions like QI and Big Fat Quiz. Like, as games, I don't find them particularly interesting, but as entertainment products, as shows, they're fairly diverting. And it lets me play an extra little game when I watch these shows from Turf Island, where I wonder how many of these wealthy, progressive celebrities would think it would be funny if I got murdered. There are some American equivalents to these panel shows. Actually is a trivia show on the streaming service Dropout, where geeky TV and internet personalities pedantically correct details and statements about nerd culture. Like, as a game, not an interesting design, but as a show, yeah, it's entertaining. Dropout has another show, which is not my favorite game show, but it's like a close second, and that's Game Changer. This is a show where the rules are different every time, and the contestants have to figure out what the rules are as they play the game.
The only way to learn is by playing. The only way to win is by learning, and the only way to begin is by beginning.
This was made for me specifically. I go on and on about how learning a game is not separate from playing it, but part of that process, and understanding a game on a systemic level creates meaning, and this is that. This is what this game is. And there's this impish sense of humor to it, where the games themselves are kind of a joke. Like, the new season just started, and Spoilers, I guess, for the rules to a game show? The season premiere is a game where you are awarded points for coming in second. And at the end of the game, the person with the second highest score is the winner. That's beautiful. It's also a very specific troll on the highly competitive Brennan Lee Mulligan. This is a runner throughout the series, and it brings me so much joy.
Simple rules. I'm going to show a bird. You tell me what that bird is.
Calm down.
Brennan, calm down. This is your cup of tea.
Katie, your bird is.
Oh no. Is that a chicken?
That is a chicken. Bravo, Katie. On Brennan's heels.
Calm down. Calm down.
Brennan, your bird is.
Oh, I know this one.
Marabou.
Sorry, Brennan. I was looking for roseate spoonbill. Roseate spoonbill.
Carolyn, did you know that was a roseate spoonbill?
I knew it was a spoonbill.
No points for Brennan that particular round. This last round is worth a full 5 points. 5 points on the line. Carolyn, your bird is.
Penguin.
That is correct, Carolyn. 5 points for
Sorry,
Carolyn.
just penguin? Just penguin?
Katie, your bird is.
That's a chicken again.
Rooster chicken.
That makes me so happy. And that's weird, right? Like, why does something so blatantly unfair, so capricious, spark such delight? We'll come back to that, but for now, let's talk about my favorite game show. Arcade Pit is a game about games. 2 teams, each consisting of 2 people, usually video game speedrunners or Twitch streamers, compete in a variety of challenges. The show is invented and hosted by Smight, a notable Let's Player. For the uninitiated, Let's Play is a format where you play a game through and talk about it while you're doing it. This is actually what my girlfriend Sawan does for a living, and which is pretty rad, and she's the one that introduced me to Arcade Pit. The show is co-hosted by Emily Astor, who explains the challenges to the contestants and also, like, roasts them. She'd be very catty and biting and adversarial in a way that's very entertaining.
It may be the most popular orb on the planet.
That looks like it's from Metroid Prime. No, maybe it's something else. What could it possibly be? Well, I'm just staring at a fucking soccer ball.
The structure of the show is pretty simple. The teams take turns choosing spaces from a board. There is some kind of event, and then they spin the wheel, and that determines what kind of challenge they have to do. There are, by my count, 14 different standard challenges, and they fall into 3 general categories. There are trivia challenges, gaming challenges, of course, and drawing challenges, which are my favorite. And within these categories, there is some subtlety. Let's look at the gaming challenges as an example. You have Gambler, where you choose a game from the board and must complete a challenge. No one ever chooses Rystar, and I feel like that's an attack on me personally. In VG Hustle, you can either complete a challenge or give it to the opposing team to try and steal their points. Feeling Sad, you are given a more difficult challenge, and if you fail, you lose points. Team Battle, a member from each team plays the game competitively. Relay Race, a member from each team plays a game, and then a second game is played by the other teammate, starting as soon as the first member finishes their challenge. Grab Bag is similar, but only one team is competing. AI Arena, neither team is competing, they're just choosing CPU-controlled characters and watching to see who wins. These similar but different challenges are the kind of thing that in a board game would feel really fiddly, but here, with Emily explaining each category as it comes up, it's really painless, and this added complexity, I think, is something that really attracts me to the game. It also gives individual episodes more texture and character. Like, sometimes the game challenges hardly come up at all, and instead we get a lot of drawing challenges, which makes me very happy. Most of the people are very good at playing video games, but not very good at drawing. That's a lot of fun. They have to get creative with it, and it can be very charming.
Thinking about you.
Is this the thing from Gimmick? I don't know. It's got a star happening.
Yellow team, one guess.
Oh my god.
Which one?
So, the literal only thing I can think of is Billy Hatcher, and I don't think that's it.
Akuma is stinky.
Alright.
Akuma.
What? I don't know how to draw.
Because there's so many kinds of challenges that score differently, the scores can get pretty lopsided, but like those British panel shows, the scores don't really matter. The stakes are low and no one's really concerned about whether or not they win. And unlike British shows, there are so many trans people in Arcade Pit. Holy shit, I love that. I love that so much. The game is not balanced or fair, but like I said, that also doesn't matter, and the game signals that. Those board spaces with their events, most of them are cheerfully, surreally meaningless. Like, let's turn your team's display name into a car or a Donkey Kong. Has no bearing on the game. And then sometimes it's, let's double the points for the next challenge. Points that, depending on the spin, might go to the other team or might rocket you into the lead. Often by the time a team finds the trophy space that signals the episode's final challenge, one side just cannot win. But you know what? We're gonna play Kuro anyway. There's a test your Smight space, where instead of spinning the wheel, you play a challenge against the host, who is probably much better than you at that game. There's a handicap feature, and you can take it on yourself to shoot for more points, or give it to him to try for fewer. Probably you don't win anyway, but if you do, then something happens which cracks me up every goddamn time.
There we go.
Smight retrieving on guard again, and that is gonna do it.
Done already. Wow, nice work.
Well done, you killed it.
Good run.
I was almost to the checkpoint.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I kind of grew up on that game, so I'm glad I could.
Good stuff. Reppin' that DK.
There's a fundamental kindness to the show, a breezy, gentle quality that's very welcoming, which is not how I traditionally think about online gaming culture. I love all this, I love Test Your Smight, but it's not my favorite space on the board. That's the boy. Snailzer is an evil version of the show's snail mascot. People in the chat just call him the boy.
It's for yours.
Oh, armored snail. What does this mean? I don't know.
Welcome to Snailzer Wheel. You will be given one of Snailzer's excellent challenges, only the best for our boy.
And he has his own wheel, which has weird, mean versions of the normal challenges. Like, Samhain's favorite normal challenge is Screen Crap, where you try to identify games by their screenshots. But the Snailzer version is, what if you had to do that with the lights turned off? Or, what if you had to do that with the image scrambled? Sound Test is a normal challenge where you try to identify games by their music. With Snailzer, you have to do that while the music plays backwards. The drawing challenges are usually done in MS Paint, so what if you had to do them using the Sega game Fun and Games?
That's a weird looking toilet. Is that Mario doing some plumbing? Is that a castle?
The gaming challenges are significantly harder, so hard in fact that while they have a custom animation for when you lose the challenge, they didn't bother to make one for if you win, because really, how often are you going to need that? These extra hard challenges are usually worth fewer points than the normal challenges, just to rub it in. And Snailzer shows up sometimes 3 or 4 times in a game, inflicting this delightful misery on these poor contestants. But they don't get upset, they laugh about it, because it's absurd. There's something really funny about over-the-top, arbitrary cruelty in a game, specifically when the cruelty is inflicted upon you by the game instead of by other players. I've done this myself in a more serious context. In my game Endurance, you have to pass these heating tests where you need to have blubber on hand. At the beginning of the game, you need 1 blubber to pass the test, and in the middle of the game, you'll need 2, and then by the end of the game is asking you for 3 blubber, but there's only ever 2 blubber in the game. You will never pass the test, you will never get warm enough, you're in Antarctica. And this is a bitter, cruel joke that I am perpetrating on the players. It's like Game Changer asking Brennan to identify the rosate spoon pill, or Chopped giving you a basket full of garbage and saying, now make an appetizer. Like Arcade Pit asking you to identify this game somehow, or to draw circles in Fun and Games. There's a gleeful, playful sadism, a joyous hostility to its players. And that's why it's my favorite game show. This one was a little different. Did you like it? Tell me about it. Do you like it a lot? Then maybe give me some money about it at patreon.com/Amabel Holland. It's $5 for producer credit and $10 for double producer credit, where you're listed in the credits twice in a row. I've been trying to do these about once a month, That might get a little wigglier in the near future because I do need some time to work on my book. Did I mention I'm writing a book? Someone liked my video essays enough to offer me a book deal about it, and now I have 6 months to write one. Wish me luck. So gross. Oh, it smells. Oh. What do you mean it smells? Like, there's a combination smell between the roasted red pepper pickling juice and the blue cheese dressing that's just really repugnant.